This is Ion Sullivan. I am Mike McGuire, your host, joined today as we are each week by the chairman, Rob Doherty. Hey, Rob, how we doing today?
Pretty good.
How the Red Sox doing today?
Let me tell you something. So I had this small event happen on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Then I flew down to Florida.
Right.
And
2
then,
o'clock Wednesday morning.
Yeah. So shocking. I know you're gonna find this shocking, but my wife was not ready to leave.
Oh, my God.
So we delayed it. We left the next morning at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
We drove, and I was like, I could drive this whole way through, no problem. We get to Maryland, the top of Maryland, and
By the Maryland house there?
Yeah. I'm ready to go.
Almost to Delaware?
We got 4 hours.
But it's a bunt for you.
I'm ready to go. And she's like, "Oh, let's stop." I'm like, "All right, the Yankee game's on." So we grab a room in La Quinta.
Okay.
And she's like, "Yeah, help." No, I'm not gonna help you. I'm gonna go watch the game.
Watch the game.
Yeah. So I watched the last 3 innings. That kid that pitches for the Yankees, that guy is a Josh Beckett in the making.
He is a Josh Beckett in the making.
Man, that kid is super duper.
And pitching now in October.
Yeah.
Doing a great job.
Yeah.
It was a good week. The Dolphins won the Super Bowl on Monday night.
I don't think it was a Super Bowl, Mike,
It was for the Dolphins.
But you guys are still a playoff team as of right now, so good luck.
Yeah. Well, wasn't that the playoffs on Monday?
Beating the Jets is not the playoffs.
See, the nice thing is that the Dolphins will get one of the top 5 picks. They'll go out and sign a quarterback. They'll overpay him. They'll have no offensive line. The quarterback will spend most of the time looking up at the beautiful blue sky in Davie, Florida.
Yeah, it is
and then
nice.
they'll get rid of him and he'll go win a Super Bowl with somebody else.
Well, I mean, look at the Daniel Jones situation.
Yeah.
So the Giants had Daniel Jones and Barkley at the same time.
Correct.
Okay. All right. They let Barkley go.
Correct.
Okay.
He does pretty well the following year.
He does fairly well. And like, oh, Daniel Jones is a bum.
Yeah.
He goes to Indianapolis. The guy's like, Peyton Manning. Well, Peyton's here? No, it's Daniel Jones. Okay?
Daniel Jones. He's the
lighting
guy.
him up.
See, he's the guy.
So
Yeah, it's the way it is. So the Dolphins have Zach Wilson on the roster. He's number 2 overall pick.
Yeah.
He's not good enough to start.
Yeah.
They got Tua, number 6 overall pick.
just waiting to get knocked out.
And they got Quinn Ewers, who was projected to be number 1 overall before he got hurt. So they got 3, and there's the 3 best reasons you don't pick a quarterback in the first round.
I agree with you.
So that's what it is.
That kid, Dart for the Giants. Mm-hmm. Right. So he wins the game. Gutsy kid, does all the little things, wins the game, right? Typical Giant fan. Oh, he only threw it for 111 yards.
Yeah.
He won the game.
Isn't that the answer? You win the game?
Correct.
That's the answer to the thing.
Correct.
So you said you had a little thing on Tuesday night?
Yeah, it's small thing.
And, we affectionately refer to you here in Ion Sullivan as the chairman because you will always be the chairman in our book. But now you are officially the chairman of the County Republican Committee.
That is actually officially because I did fill out the paperwork today and handed it in.
There you go. So for the first time in probably close to 20 years or more, Sullivan County actually will have a Republican committee.
Well, so let's just back it up. I will not speak ill of any Republican, but so
Reagan said that.
11th commandment.
Yep.
That was in my speech.
Yep.
So Greg, if you go backwards, Greg was 2 years. Mm-hmm. Gary Moss was 4 years. Mm-hmm. Dick Coombe was 10 years.
16.
16. Legressi, I believe, was 4 years.
Leslie may have been 6 years.
Okay.
For at least 4.
Okay, so let's say 4 for all
20.
purposes. And then Greg, 17 years.
Before that.
Yeah.
So we're talking 37 years.
Oh, yeah, you're talking, a long time. I think they all did a fine job. We had a lot of wins along the way. But we got to get down to supporting Republicans.
Right. Well, the nice thing for me is I'm not a Republican, so I can be honest.
Yeah. Wait. You're saying Republicans aren't honest? Is that what you just said?
I'm saying that I don't have to follow Reagan's 11th commandment. That's what I'm saying.
I understand.
And the party did a great job of, it's not really spring, but they did a great spring cleaning. They got rid of all of the worthless furniture and we've got some new ideals that are going to lead.
There was a lot of hard work done by the past group, and but we're looking at different things. We're looking at new technologies. We're looking at growing the Young Republicans Club. Like seriously growing it. We're looking at I have an idea. How about we don't badmouth each other?
Well, you say there was a lot of hard work done, and I'll agree with that, because if you just look at George Conklin, Mikey Brooks, rest in peace, Rob Doherty, it took a lot of work to get those three out of office.
It was an unfortunate time in our history, but
Right.
I think it's time to move on.
Right. Well, okay. So I got it. So, Suzanne, don't drive off the road. I know you're listening to this on your way home. Just stay on the road. We're all set.
Suzanne was there. She brought her middle daughter, who's that's exactly what we want. The Young Republicans.
You need the young, and I heard she was very excited.
She was very excited. Zori was there.
Zori was there. Yeah.
That was very nice. They from what I understand, they voted for me. Well, I basically 60-40 Greg in the race. We worked very hard at this.
Yep.
We it didn't happen overnight. I met with a lot of committees, had a lot of meetings, explained my vision of the future. My speech laid out, it was a very positive speech.
A very uplifting message.
It was an uplifting message. I want to hold to it. At the end, unfortunately, there was, the Delaware committee did not reorganize because they currently don't have a committee. And the Calhoun committee, the chairman tried to caucus when you're not allowed to caucus for those seats. And so they wanted me to put them back in, but I want to talk to them also.
Right.
We want to see, if they're on the same page as we're on, right? So we can all move forward together. I'm sure that Ian Bloom, who's a great guy, will want to, move forward together, and I have no problem. I've spoken to several members of the Calhoun committee, and they all, the ones that we've spoken to already, so we have a meeting the third Wednesday of every month. One's down, right? We got 2 more to go. And on the third one, we'll most likely reinstate them. So.
All right, so let's get serious just for a minute. The election, as any election, is in the rearview mirror.
It is.
And what you often said in the hallowed halls of the government center is there's a time for campaigning and there's a time for governing.
That is correct.
And now it's sometimes a lot easier to campaign than govern.
See. That's where I'm different than most people.
Yep.
I like actually doing the work of governing. Right?
Well, you do it to govern, and that's the question that I want to ask you.
Yeah. Okay.
So you've got multiple successful businesses. You work very hard at all of the businesses. You're a hands-on owner of all the businesses, and that's probably why they're successful. You've got your youngest son is getting ready to get married.
That's what they tell me.
You've got your 2 older sons that are changing direction a little bit, and they're going to be opening another business. And you've got your businesses.
Correct.
So many would say to you, why would you want the responsibility and the anxiety of this job, which pays $0?
It absolutely pays $0.
So why did Rob Doherty feel it was important to take a shot at this job?
Okay, so over 30 years ago, I was a committeeman. I was a committeeman for a little while. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I've been told that around 2008, 9, 10, you were definitely a committeeman.
I was a committeeman. I always joke that I was a committeeman back when Debbie Gabriel was a Republican. Okay?
Yeah.
She was my first chair.
Okay.
On the Bethel Republican Club committee there, and so we, I like politics. I followed politics most of my life. With my father-in-law Dick Crumley, I had an opportunity to get involved in it.
A classic, honest politician who you may not like what he had to say. But what it was going to be honest from the heart, and you had no doubt where he stood at the end of it.
Yeah, so I generally well up when I talk about my father-in-law.
Yep.
I loved him so much. But he was just a good guy who wanted to do what's right for the town.
Always.
All the time. And see, he stayed in that town. So when the legislature first came around, they tried to woo him to go there, but he's like, that's not my game. My game is,
Is the
town
town.
Bethel. So I had gotten out of being a committeeman, and I, was just running my businesses, my main business at the time, and I was just raising my family, right? Which is, as you know, with three children. I mean, this one has to go this way, that one has to go that way. I mean, you're running around. You don't have time for
You're
anything.
running constantly.
So then, So then 2019 came. I was as you know, because everyone always comments on this, is that how fast I hit the ground running once I got into office as a legislator.
Right.
All right, because I already understood the issues because I was following them for years.
And there's work to be done. And 4 years is a blip.
Correct. So I was angry that they had overspent their revenues 4 years in a row.
And that's why you ran.
That is the reason I ran. And so Dick Coom had come to me. You sure heard his speech about Rob. I mean,
Take it from whence it came.
I think I killed Nicole Brown Simpson after that speech. I mean,
You mean you didn't?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I thought it was just Ron Goldman, but it might have been both.
I mean, I got blamed for everything else, so why not? So,
By the way, where is the Limburger baby?
yeah, exactly. like what? So anyway, but that was part of my strategy also.
Right.
So then I ran. My party, unfortunately, there was not a lot of good communication, and part of it was my fault, to be fair. And I said that in my speech also, and I apologized.
This is while you were the chairman of the legislature.
Correct.
Right.
And but we got a lot of great things done. I mean, groundbreaking stuff, right? So and as we've discussed before, I'm not so far right on social issues.
No, you're not.
But I governed like I was, right? So, but they were, everything I did was rooted in Republican values, right?
100%.
Right.
Family values. Republicans do value the environment.
I mean, but by every definition, conservative means to, take care of the environment.
Take care of the environment.
Right. So,
and everything that you did, you found the cross section between environmental issues and fiscal issues, because you took positions that were good for the environment and good for the county fiscally. The example, of course, being the garbage situation. You realized, remember, we had somebody come and talk to us about, wait a minute, methane gas is the worst thing you can put in the environment.
84 times worse than carbon.
Right. And so that's what we were doing. And you said, hey, wait a minute. We're spending $17 million. Soon it'll be $50 million.
Correct.
When they close Seneca Falls,
Which is it was scheduled to close in 3 months.
In 3 months.
3 months.
So you said, we got to take a look. And people were outraged at that. What are we going to take a look? We're going to take a look because environmentally we're doing the worst thing we can possibly do.
I mean, they had a meeting the other day, and they keep calling it an incinerator. And calling it an incinerator is a misnomer.
Correct.
I mean, that it's not an incinerator. First of all, they reclaim 95% of the stuff that goes in there. Right.
So only coming out in the air is water.
Correct. So all the metals get reclaimed. All the wood gets reclaimed. I mean, it's truly recycling.
$6 million worth of change gets reclaimed at the one place we visited in Suffolk County.
Correct. I mean, they get $6 million a year in change.
Right.
I mean, they go through everything. But just like the Move Sullivan bus, we had a historically high 6.5% unemployment rate. We expanded the routes. We started charging for that. Okay. And then we realized that ridership was going down.
Right.
Right. So we made it free. Right. Which some may say is a liberal concept, but we then cut our unemployment in half.
Correct.
Once we made it free, and our sales tax went through the roof.
Sure, because now people could go shopping locally.
Correct. And it hurt me. In one of my businesses, it hurt me.
Hurt you, yes.
Right. But it wasn't about me.
Right.
And that's the difference. in my relationship with politics and most people, it's not about me.
No.
I want it to be, I'm here for the county. I'm here to move things forward. I'm here to, look at different ideas. And, in Greg's speech, he talked about, the same thing he talked about in the interview we played from WJFF,
right,
was we have to work with the Dems. Well, yeah, if they coincide with us, yeah, we have to work with them. But if they're on one end of the spectrum and we're on the other end, and I don't see why we have to meet in the middle there.
Well, that's and that's what would just encourage them to get further on the other end of the spectrum.
Correct.
To bring you further out. And how has working with them gone? I mean, he says in that speech, we got them nice people that we can work with. Well, how's that going for you? Because after a year and a half, I think we've burned through an $87 million fund balance.
So when Dick Coombe gave his speech, he gets up there, and one of the things he says about me was, Rob inherited an 8-1 majority.
No, you didn't.
For the last time.
Right.
Nadia Reich is not a Republican.
Correct, and nor is Louis.
Correct. Well,
he was when you inherited it.
Okay, when I inherited him, he was a Republican. But I've said this before, and I'll say it forever. I will not allow anybody to be abused at work the way he was abusing that person.
Correct.
Okay? Whether that's right or wrong, whether, people are like, oh, you lost it. I didn't lose anything in court. Let's get that one straight. Okay?
Right.
And, I can't tell you what Judge Bryant told me after the case,
right,
but, he was like, kind of look at me kind of strange at the end of that. And, my attorney.
But even at that, in law, we walk away from those saying the jury wanted to go home. I mean, they say yes on the one, but no damages. Well, if there's no damages, then there's no case because one of the elements are damages.
Correct.
So they said there were no damages.
Correct.
So it's a nullity.
Correct. So whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But back to this, and so this didn't start 3 months ago. Like I wasn't like, I want to be chair, right? And and then start twirling.
It's not your ego, in other words.
No, it wasn't about being ego. I mean, they, of course, you want to be, respected by your peers, of course. Obviously, you want to be respected by your peers. I thought that I was, slighted by the Republican Party.
In the election of 23.
Correct.
Right.
And I'm not going to go further than to say it was a sneak attack. Right. They weren't up front about the whole situation, and that's fine. Okay?
Nobody ever came to speak to you to say we're not. Through the whole 4 years, you never caucused with the chairman of the party to say, I don't like the direction that things are going.
The one time Steve Agliante, who's now the chair of the Democrat Party, and him and I have spoken,
right,
and we'll be getting together and to lay out some issues, see where we can find common ground with each other.
Common ground is okay. Backroom deals are not.
That is
correct. We don't horse trade.
I do not horse trade for nothing. So he had written a pretty big, letter to the editor against me. He unfortunately put it on Facebook on like the Thursday before, and then didn't come out to the paper till Tuesday. So then I had a chance to respond to that, and so I did respond. So we kind of had like a dueling situation, and so mine was probably 1,500 words. That one, and I got a text from that chair at the time that said, I think you were a little negative here. I mean, 1,500 words, and you're talking to me about one sentence. I mean, it wasn't like I called him a bad name or anything.
Right.
But I think I think the overall point was missed there. And then he did endorse my opponent, by the way. So
the chair of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Endorsed. See, folks, this is what you need to understand, people in our audience, to get an education in politics. There are two teams. That's the way our system is set up. Correct. Sometimes it's three, but there's basically two. There's teams. Republicans and Democrats, okay? So if you're playing for the Yankees, but you grew up as a Red Sox fan, You can't be grooving pitches to the Red Sox because you're a Red Sox fan. You don't belong in the Yankees then.
Ben Rice grew up in Massachusetts.
Right.
Right? And he kind of clubbed them, pretty good over the series, right?
Yeah. So you had the chairman of the Republican Party endorsing a Democrat. That just can't be.
So,
it just cannot be.
So one of the things I said, after I got the microphone, after I had won, was that this has to stop.
Correct.
This cannot continue, right? We can argue inside the room and be passionate inside the room. But when we go beyond the room, we need to be, as thick as we can with each other, okay? And again, I said this line also, we don't have to be besties, we don't have to be best friends, but we have to, what binds us together is our Republican values, okay? And that is what we need to hold on to when you may not agree with someone on something,
right?
But you cannot sit there and start, writing letters to the editor against that person. I've never written a letter to the editor against a Republican. I mean, all my stuff has been.
But some of the Republican leadership has.
Oh, against me.
The former leadership.
You're correct.
Not only against you, but against other people.
Correct. And that cannot happen. I mean, that just cannot happen.
The system doesn't work like that. The system is a two-party system for a reason.
Correct. And there are, I remember everyone said that, it was the five people who agreed with me the most on the legislature against the rest of it. And then, a private citizen had pointed out that we vote together 94% of the time.
Correct.
Okay? I mean, he had it down to the single digits,
right.
Point whatever. But the point being is that 94% of the time we do agree on stuff.
Correct.
Okay? It's sometimes the harder issues that we disagree, but I think that's where the difference of being a Democrat and Republican come in, right? I mean, I think that's the crux of it, that 5% of the time.
Of course.
I mean, you see these bills passed in Congress, there are thousands of pages.
Yep.
And they're arguing over 3 pages, right?
Right, or 3 lines.
3 lines, right? I mean, that's what's happening
it's
right
happening
now.
right now. It's
right?
one section in a very, very long bill.
Correct. And so of course, there's a lot of dollars that,
$200 billion.
Yeah. But, so most people in my situation.
That's more than Sue Hoffman stole, by the way, that $200 billion.
No, I think she stole more than
Probably
that. Right?
More than that, yeah.
Let's get a report on it.
Let's
right?
get a report. Let's hire someone to get a report on that.
Yeah. So they, even though we can get the information for free, that she didn't do it.
A simple phone call.
Exactly. So you know how politics works.
Oh, yeah.
So you've been in the political arena yourself. So when the party did that to me, usually you just go away.
You go away.
Right. That's what they do. But
you certainly had places to go. You had business. You had family. You had,
I have lots of things.
Lots of things to do.
I have lots
you
of
didn't
things to
need this headache. Mostly, your wife didn't need this headache.
Correct. Yeah. So as far as my wife goes, her father got elected when she was 7 years old.
Right. So she's been in this game a long time.
She's been in this game a long, long time, right? And she knows it well. And I will openly admit that there's some advice I didn't take of hers that I should have taken.
Right.
Okay. So when I became chair of the Bethel Party 2 years ago,
right.
All right, the Republican Party in the town of Bethel, that was the plotting of the seeds, right? So one of the things I had always argued about was, and this happened in the Terry Bernardo situation.
Right. For senator?
For senator.
For senator.
Right. And Mr. Coombe had badmouthed me that I backed her. But, okay, so I backed a county resident.
Who had been chair of a larger county.
A county that's, I believe, 5 times the size of us.
Right.
Okay. Has a major
city.
Has a major city in it, right?
Well, I mean, a very major city. I mean,
right.
It was once the capital.
Correct. So, who also won this county 75. She got 75% of the vote in that primary.
Right.
Right. So I picked the person that most of the county wanted.
Right.
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 So is that a bad thing? Meanwhile, I mean, Peter is making a major announcement. Peter Oberacker, our state senator, is making a major announcement on Monday at the South Lodge and at the ski hill.
Okay.
And I was invited, by Peter to go there,
Sure.
and I'm pushing for Peter, and I'm going to show him that we could be a plus 10 county.
Yeah.
Right. So when they had gotten rid of me there, they. Again, they thought I was going to go away, but that's not who I am. And so when we started, figuring out, during that, I kept saying that's not in the bylaws. That's not in the bylaws.
Right.
Okay.
The bylaws of the Republican committee.
Correct.
You were saying, I mean, one thing, there was a time when they had the executive committee,
Correct.
the chairs only, were making all the decisions. And so if you were on a committee, you were emasculated. You played no role.
Correct. But if you read our bylaws,
Which I have.
which you have because you wrote them.
Because I wrote them.
Yeah. So they. That's how I got a copy of them. So no, okay? That's how we got a
They
copy.
keep talking to me about bylaws. And hold on a minute. I can get into you.
Yeah. So it's clearly states in there that the executive committee is an advisory committee only.
Right.
Okay. So they don't have the whole say. You have to put it in front of everybody.
Correct.
And someone said that to me the other night, like, oh, you have to, do this in front. I was like, I'm the one that put these out. I'm the one that was sending them out to everyone that would ask me.
Right.
Right. And I was sending them out. No one knew the weighted vote.
Right.
Right. So in the Republican Party, there's three ways to measure the weighted vote, but we've always gone by what your district, so I'm in Bethel 4, what the Republican gubernatorial candidate got in the last election.
Right.
So in ours,
Lee Zeldin.
So Lee Zeldin got 246 votes. There's 2 people to each district. And this is for all parties. This is for Republican, Democrat, and conservative parties. And then that is what your weight is when you go to a weighted vote system.
Right.
Okay, it's not one man, one vote. Okay, or one woman, one vote.
One person, one vote.
Yeah, correct. So it's a weighted vote. So I knew this, right? So I've been pushing the whole time to get the bylaws out there and to get the weighted vote out there.
Whoa. You wanted to get the rules of the game out there?
I did want to get the rules.
If you get the rules of the game out there, then a few people can't control the game.
You are correct.
That can be a problem for those few.
Correct. And I know this is crazy, but I thought that transparency was paramount in politics.
Well, it's the ideal of politics.
Correct. So, like, we've discussed this several times.
Right.
I would do a first, second, discuss, and then we'd have some people say, oh, we haven't discussed this yet.
How come this is a surprise? We didn't hear about this. We didn't do this. Wait a minute.
And then I would say, well, we're discussing it right now.
And you got the agenda 6 days ago.
Correct. Oh, we usually discuss this in the back. They said that out loud.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Right?
They said it many times.
And I'm like, no, we're going to discuss it right here.
And that was one of the issues. Right now we're going through this government shutdown situation, and one party is saying, what are you talking about? We never said we want to give health care to illegal aliens, illegal immigrants. And then there's the clip that's going around from the Democrat primary where they asked the question, who would favor health care to illegal immigrants? They all raised their hand, every one of them. That's the Democrat leadership. They all raised their hand. And yet, you got to give them credit. They still are denying that was what they wanted.
Yeah,
so,
Sheehan from New Hampshire was like, I never said that.
I never said that.
And then they catch her on tape. Oh, no, you misunderstood.
Right.
No, I didn't misunderstand anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the things that they criticize you for.
Correct.
And I would sit there like shaking my head like, wait a minute.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. Robert's Rules of Order. Rob throws things out there without discussing them first. Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be.
By the way, they're on the agenda.
They get the agenda on Friday.
Yeah, you get
This
the
is
agenda on
Thursday.
Friday. This is Thursday, right? So you've had it for 6 days. You could have called me. You could have discussed it with commissioners, with the county manager, the assistant county manager.
Anybody you want.
Anyone you want. You could have caucused about it. And they're like, oh, this is a surprise to me. And I'm like, it shouldn't be a surprise to you. I mean,
if you read your materials, it's not a surprise.
Correct.
And if you understood, you've been a legislator for 12, 15 years, it really shouldn't be a surprise. It's the most basic parts of Robert's rules.
Correct.
That you don't discuss things other than here in public.
Correct.
And the amazing thing is that was one of the things that you were vilified for.
Which is crazy.
When they talk about you weren't cooperating, that's one of the things they were saying is that you're trying to ambush people with stuff. Like, wait a minute.
Ambush people.
And in 4 years that I was there, I didn't see another single legislator ever walk into my office to say, I'd like to put this resolution up, or how do you get a resolution passed? Which was kind of remarkable that they would say. So let's go back now. Why run for, chairman of the party? Like why is that important?
Well, because a prime example, when did Jim Farrell get elected DA?
He got elected DA in November of 2009.
Okay, November of 2009. So when he got sworn in that
January 2010.
I went to his swearing in.
Yep.
Right, because I played a big role in it. If
you did.
Recall. I went there with my father-in-law, and Dick Coombe was the chair of the party at the time. Mm-hmm. And my father-in-law, who's also Dick, they knew each other from the 70s.
Sure.
When they were in office, right? They both, I believe, they both won their first race in 77.
Okay.
Right? 77 or 79. It's a lifetime
time
ago,
yeah.
right?
You graduated high school.
Yeah. I wasn't even in high school yet.
Right.
So 79, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. So they knew each other, and I talked to him about the chair of the Republican Party at the time, and he's like, "Oh no, they got it under control." I'm like, we're in trouble here.
Yeah.
We're going to lose, the town. Mm-hmm. No, you're good. You're good. The town of Bethel. No, you're good. You're good. We then lost the town of Bethel, and we haven't gotten it back.
Right.
We're probably going to get it back this term, right? And
you're fortunate that you don't have a left radical supervisor. You've got one that's fiscally sound, and therefore the town is fiscally sound.
Correct. But you look at the town of Highland. Mm-hmm. You look at other towns. Delaware's leaning to the left. Tustin's leaning to the left. How do you get these towns back?
Tustin was a bright red town not long ago.
Right? Now you have the People's Republic of Narrowsburg, right? And you can't let these towns slip away, because then how apathy sets in, and then you can't get your. Now, I was talking about being a plus 10 town. If you've lost, 7, 8 towns, right? Mm-hmm. Which is very easy to do, by the way.
Very easy to do. Okay.
How do you become a plus 10 county, right? Meaning that your candidate gets 10,000 more votes than the other county. Mm-hmm. Okay. What does that mean? In our situation, it means it could be the difference of Donald Trump getting impeached or not.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
It could be the difference of a bill getting passed or not passed.
That's right.
Right? When there's a 3-4 point margin, member margin, you have to get every member that you can in there.
That's right.
So it starts on the very ground level of, you lose 2-3 towns. The problem is apathy sets in.
Right.
Okay? And then as apathy sets in, then they're not voting the way we want them to vote, right? They're not hearing our ideas. They're only hearing one set of ideas. And then we have a major problem. Then the county, then we lost the DA. We're losing the treasurer, right? We still have the sheriff. But, these are...
But they tried.
Oh, they tried. Mm-hmm. And so now... This is what happens in counties, right? So Donald Trump wins our county by 6,000, I believe.
Yep.
Why can't we make it 10,000?
Right.
Right? If Marcus won by 10,000, he'd be our congressman right now.
Right.
And we'd have a 4 or 5 point margin, right? Instead of
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal, because once you start getting to the 10 margin, it's hard to start peeling people off.
Well, we're seeing right now what a big deal it is, because this whole government shutdown You've got a couple of Democrats went over.
But you have three, but you have Rand. You have Rand Paul.
Went left. Went left.
Right.
And so you still need 5.
So you're down by So you got 2. You're still down by 5.
Right.
And this is. It all happens because you let things go. I mean, we talk about the Republican Party in the state all the time. You can't let them go.
And folks, you need to understand, and particularly, I want to speak to the younger members of our audience, is that the apathy is the mantra of what Greg was saying on the WJFF interview. And he was advocating for apathy by saying, these are nice people. This is Sullivan County. We've got to get the best person. The two-party system is set up that way. And the Democratic Party is not going to come forward and say, well, this person running for Congress or this person running for the Assembly is not really somebody that we agree with, so we're going to endorse the Republican. That doesn't happen.
It's not happening.
It's very, very important to our lives locally, on the state level and the federal level, that we understand this two-party system. And the thought of, I vote for the best person, folks, we all want good people. But you've got to be very careful with that because this is a two-party system. And you can vote for the best person, and if that person isn't in the majority in local, state, or federal, they are collecting a check for 2 or 4 years or 6 years and can't do anything.
But here's the point, right? So now you take in the state Senate, right? So they had a super majority on us, right? Over the Dean Skelos nonsense down in Long Island, right? And once you break that, right, then you can start negotiating in a better position, right? And then you can start, and it's every 2 years, so it goes by fast. In 6 years, you could change your fortunes pretty quickly, and so. But you can negotiate with people, and you can cut down on these crazy bills that go forward, these taxes that go forward. I mean, Hochul's looking to send money out to people. Honey, you're in a multi-billion-dollar hole.
Correct.
And you're sending out money to get votes in an election year. Stop doing that, please. Okay? I'm more worried about the interest that we're paying on our debt than you handing out $400 to people.
And she wants to make sure that wood stoves are not happening anymore.
Wood stoves, gas stoves, all that, and then
all new houses can't build them in.
And then you're talking about electric grids and electric prices going up by 57% over the last 10 years. But don't worry about it. Don't tell me the grid is bad and the prices have doubled. But we still want to move in that direction. I mean, it's insanity. But I want to get to so how this race was won real fast.
Right. So go ahead.
So
because then I want to get to. Let's look out the windshield. Where are we going?
So the way the race was won was, we got down to business, right? We identified every member, what every seat was worth. Okay.
Right. Don't people understand the way the Republican chair is determined is it's a vote, but
by the committee people.
There's total number of people, 120,
140 something,
147. So you've got 140 some odd representatives that come together and they select your leadership.
It's basically electoral college.
It's electoral college. Right. It's basically what it is. It's a weighted vote. So it's an election and it's easier than some because you've only got 140 people. You can literally speak to every one of them.
Correct. So
and I've been through that and we thought we spoke to every one of them.
So you forgot Bethel. So anyway,
we got a couple. They told us it was We love you, Pat. Rest in peace.
So it goes back to Jeannie. See, Jeannie didn't get it done for you, right?
There you go.
We love Jeannie.
We love Jeannie. Okay.
So anyway, so we identified. We went town by town. Me and my team went town by town.
Yep.
Okay, we can get blah blah. So you start adding up the votes, right? And then. And then every 2 years there's a primary for there's a race for those seats. Okay, it's an election.
It's done at the same time as the primary is
correct.
Done.
So there's an election. We're able to flip 2 seats, one district. We were able to flip them. That was a 700 and some odd point difference to us. 2 towns did get knocked out, but some of those members were with me.
Delaware was strong with you.
Correct. So the funny thing about it is, I remember Greg saying, "Oh, if I had these 2 towns, I would have won." if you had FA3, Calhoun, and Delaware, you were still lost.
Correct.
All right, you were still lost. But anyway, so when we started identifying people, and we started reaching out to people over a 2-year period to get them to
Right.
see if they agree with us, right? And so we were pretty confident. So once we had established that, then we knew it was going to come down to the convention, right? So you have a convention, a reorganizational meeting, and when I tell you packed, that room was 12,100 votes were available. Okay, that night. Okay.
And that was right over in the Liberty Elks.
It's right. I mean, right behind.
I mean, literally, there's no doubt. Even at my point in my life, I could throw a baseball from my office to the Liberty Elks,
correct.
and I didn't even know what was going on there.
Correct. So we knew. I know Dick Coom a long time. Okay. Don't say it. And then and I know Greg a long time. Okay. So. And I have no personal animus against either one of them.
No,
okay?
you don't. You just have a philosophical difference.
Correct.
Which is healthy.
Correct. And so I had Mark Coleman put me into nomination.
From Mark Coleman from Mamakating.
From Mamakating.
Yep. And
he, I emphasized to him 1,000 times, it has to be a positive speech. It must be positive. Okay. So I made my speech as positive as possible.
Yep.
Okay. I did have to run over the record, and it wasn't a slamming of Greg, but it was more of this is what happened.
If it was a slamming of Greg, that's on Greg because you are what your record says you are.
So I laid out the record. We lost the legislature. The civility has not materialized. Stuff like that. Right. All truth. Right.
And that's what he was brought in for.
Yeah. And I didn't make it personal at all.
Right.
But I was there when Dick Coom gave the speech for Megan Galligan against Frank LaBuda, right? And
they still can't keep paint on those walls.
Yeah. So unless you've been, the object of one of them, you really don't understand it. I mean, it's basically 5 minutes of getting your head kicked in, right? And you have to keep your cool during the whole thing.
You've been through that.
Oh, I've been through that.
You went through boot camp for that. That was nothing.
Please. So I knew that was going to happen, right? So he was going to be negative, okay? And then, Greg's speech is pretty much the same all the time about, we have to get along with the Democrats.
Right.
Right. So I was Republican, right? So we were pretty confident in our score. And I had my attorney there, Joe Burns.
Yep.
And he said, what do you think the score's going to be? And I said, so I turned to Pam Moran, who's the commissioner, and she was one of the people counting.
Yep.
And that's who you want there.
Sure.
Honest,
Honest, hardworking, and Republican.
Correct. So I said, how many votes are here tonight? Because there's proxies also, you have to remember.
Right.
So you don't know. And she gave me a number, and I turned to Joe Burns, and I said it's going to be 6,900 to 4,700. Wound up being a couple more hundred votes there, but it was 6885 to 5,005, right?
Now,
so I had it down.
You went in believing you had the votes.
Yeah, correct.
You had spoken to everybody. You had done your homework.
Correct.
As you always do.
Correct.
And you believed you had the votes. I want people to understand, and hopefully we've got a number of Republicans and Democrats that are part of our audience and understand, because there are some that will say that you sow division within the ranks, and that whether it was with the Terry Bernardo, that you divided the party, with her Senate run. And with the legislature, that you divided the ranks because you forced one legislator to change parties, Mr. Alvarez, and Mr. Perillo. They created this illusion that you had created that division.
Well, he tried to become chair,
right?
And I, beat him,
right?
And I think that's a lack of leadership on the county level. I think that We
Right.
should have been sat
That
down
didn't happen.
right after that and said, hey, listen, you're still on the same team, okay? Rob's chairman, you're not. This is the way we're going to go,
Right.
and let's go.
But to those who will accuse the chairman of sowing division, I know for a fact that a week before the vote, which was this past Tuesday, the 30th,
Correct.
you had done your homework and were pretty sure of where your votes were going to come down.
I was within 200 of the vote number that I wound up with.
And up to 24 hours before, you had people that came to you on the committee that said, essentially, we need to make a deal to keep the party together, which was kind of unique because the party wasn't together at all. And even with the votes in your hand, you were still willing, up to a point, to do a deal as long as that deal included us following a Republican agenda.
Correct.
You were more interested in party unity than you were in Rob Doherty's outcome. This was not an ego or a status thing for you.
Not at all. So I knew there was 12,100 and some odd votes. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I knew 130 of those votes were definitely not going to be there. Okay,
Right.
and that's how it played out. By the way, everyone else was represented there. Okay?
Right.
So I think maybe 150 more votes wasn't there. Okay, so you think you know everyone how they're going to vote, but some people are going to fool you.
Of course.
But some people come your way also that
Correct.
you didn't expect.
That happens.
Okay.
Yep.
So I had said the day before that I was going to have 7,100 votes. I wound up with 6885.
You told me that probably an hour or two before. It was about 4:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday.
Correct. So, but a very distinguished member of our committee, of the Republican committee, came to me. He asked me for a meeting. I took the meeting. He said, Rob, this is how I see it. I would like, you to sit down with Greg and work something out that's best for the committee.
Right.
Okay. Now, keep in mind, I'm very confident I have the votes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And from a negotiating standpoint, which you're a master at, when you have all the leverage, you're not really don't have an incentive to negotiate.
I had no incentive to negotiate.
The only incentive was party unity.
That was my only reason to take the meeting. Okay.
And the irony was party unity with a person who ran on a platform of party division.
His platform
I
is his
understand.
platform. And,
I understand. We've got the JFF. He was brought in to divide the party. That's what he was brought in for. I understand, and I respect that we're now looking out the windshield, not the rearview mirror.
Correct.
So where do we go now? Where does the Republican Party go now?
So several things. We're gonna have a meeting. In 2 very short weeks. And we need to get the Delaware committee back together, and we need to get the Calhoun committee back together. I've spoken to several members of the Calhoun committee. I think that they're a big player in it. They get great signatures. They
get great signatures when they want to.
Well, unfortunately, see, the Republican Party's had a pretty tumultuous last 4 years. I mean, we had the Megan and Frank fight, right?
Yep.
Then we had the Brian and Tom fight, right? Then we had the
Terry Bernardo
fight. This is all happened in 4 years. Okay,
that's right. Yeah,
right. And then we had some members of management going after fellow Republicans, right? Which is all unfortunate, and we need to be better than that. Okay, so last 4 years has been a rough go. Okay, for the Republican Party. And people can argue, the right person won, whatever that is. I don't care because that's behind us.
Behind us.
We need to look forward.
Correct.
We need to stand together and, help each other out. We cannot lose towns like the town of Highland. We cannot lose towns like the town of Tustin, town of Delaware. We need to keep them together, and we need to move forward with that.
And Lumberland.
Right? And Lumberland,
Solid.
Solid as a rock. I tell you, they showed up.
They showed up.
They showed up and showed out. Let me tell you something.
That's it.
486 points in the bank.
They make it known when they're in the house.
Yeah, correct. So they, as moving forward, we have to, I think that we need to bring on the young Republicans. I think that we need to win elections. I mean, there's a big election in Thompson this year with Scott Mace, and people don't understand that whole race because there's a very large part of the community that was against Mr. Mace 2 years ago when he came within 90 votes of Bill Reber. And I'm the one that sewed that relationship back together. It was I that got Scott and that community together to have a conversation.
Sure.
And that's all it was one conversation.
And it was a festering boil. And I remember when you brought them together.
Correct. So a lot of the work that I was doing while I was getting my head kicked in by my own party, I was helping my own party, right? Because I saw the bigger picture. And that's how I see it now. Again, I think that I think this is a Republican county, and we've proven it on almost every major election. It is seldom that we lose the presidential race, congressional race. There's a judge, Tom, I forgot his last name, that needed to win our county by 8,000.
Right.
And he did win our county by 8,000.
Yeah. A Supreme Court judge.
Yeah. By the way, he still owes me lunch for that. But that's another story for another day.
Right.
But the point being is that when we're together, okay, and even the independents in our county and a lot of the Democrats in our county lean towards Republican values.
Correct.
Okay. And we need to stop fighting ourselves and harness our strength and realize our potential as a party.
And, we've got to get that word out to the youth. We've got to get some young people. The old administration, and I respect that, but their philosophy was to hold the youth down.
So one of the things that Joe Burns said to me, so he was driving home. He's from Buffalo, right? So one of the things he said to me on his ride home was, the one thing I noticed, Rob, was most of the people that were for you were under 60.
Yeah.
And most of the people against you were over 60.
Well, I mean, we look at, again, we tie in the national side, the way people get their news. What Charlie Kirsch gave us was the ability to reach the young people, and that's a complete segment of the population that for 50 years the Republicans have just presumed that they were Democrat.
Yeah, but I think that's wrong.
And now the Democrats have gone so far left. I mean, if you look at what's going to happen in New York City this year, and AOC's got a 25-point lead if she runs for the Senate against Chuck Schumer. The young people are saying, "Hey, hold on a minute. I'm not for men playing women's sports. I'm not for my tax dollars going for people that are in the country unlawfully. Immigration were built on immigrants. So we have an opportunity, because it's happening at the national level, to reach young people.
I agree.
And we've got to give them a platform to join in. And we've got an active, even without any support, we've got an active young Republicans in this county.
So the things that we want to work on is filling out petitions, getting signatures, door knocking.
The nuts and bolts.
That we have to get back down to basics.
Right.
And build our party from the ground up. And I'm not being disrespectful to anyone that didn't vote for me, but we have to change how we think about our party.
In the last presidential election, we know that Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, spent close to $2 billion, and Trump spent close to $1 billion. But Trump says even today that he won because of the ground game.
Correct.
Because of the young people that he had out doing exactly what you're talking about, getting petitions, handing out information, door knocking. That's how campaigns are won.
I agree.
All politics are local.
All politics are local.
So in the literally minute and a half we've got left, and I think that Jacob keeps running the clock ahead here, but in the minute and a half we have left, your top 3 priorities for the next year.
So number one is that we have to get the young Republicans. We have to, get them funded. We have to set up events for them, a golf tournament, the fun day that we wanted to do. They need to be big parts of establishing those events as annual events and generating money, and then they get a large proceed of that money. So you could talk about organizations all day long. Unless they have money, you're not going to go anywhere.
No organization without money.
Right? That's number one. Number two, I think there's a lot of people in this county who are independents or blanks that we can pull over to the Republican Party. Okay? And we have to actively pursue those people to become primary consistent Republican voters. And that is a key for us, because if the Democrats have more registered Democrats than we do.
Correct.
Okay? But there are more blanks and independents than any party, okay, or any group, right? But we constantly win elections. Right? So we need to, focus on those people and get them back to the Republican Party.
Right.
Bring them back home. Show them that we're not who the national media is saying are, but we're the people that you work with and talk to every day, and we think more like you than you think we do.
Conservative, hardworking people that socially are not unlike you and fiscally are not unlike you. They just have their uniform has a different name on the chest.
Correct. So like Rush Limbaugh said all the time, conservatism works every time it's tried. Okay.
Correct.
And then thirdly, we have to organize our party a little differently. I think that we should go to regions. I think that prime example, I use the town of Highland as ground zero. If they're in a 3-4 town region, it's not just 4 committeemen trying to figure this out, right? You have 20 committeemen trying to figure this out, right? So that you can swarm. Door knocking's a key part of it. I know a lot of people don't door knock. Like if someone came to my house, oh my God, you would never knock on my door. You would, my wife wouldn't even think about door knocking. But it's how the ground game is what wins elections, and we have to get back down to the nuts and bolts of being able to win elections by talking to people face to face.
Well, and understand that the borders are there, but Republican control of Highland is good for Lumberland and Tustin and Forestburg and Bethel. It's good to get these regions that have similar issues.
Correct.
I mean, let's face it. We talked about the pump station.
Correct.
The pump station had effects in Bethel, had effects in Highland. The Eldred School District doesn't exist without the work that you did. It goes right to your regional model.
But now here we are, and I talked about policy positions and stuff. That issue's coming back around now.
That's right.
Right? And so now we better solve that. I mean, Fremont's looking at an $8 million bill if we don't solve that.
That's right.
Coshocton's looking at an $11 million bill unless we solve that. We as a county committee need to decide how are we going to go about this, right? And how are we going to ask our representatives on the legislature to handle this for us? Okay, and they need to get out there and say, and you're going to get people that, don't read the material and want to grandstand and all that. We'll call it cat Scott just for ha-has.
Okay, yeah.
And she's going to be, she's going to blow it off. I guarantee you this gets blown off by her. Meanwhile, Fremont, who, has, a tax of $1.2 million.
Right.
I mean, going to get an $8 million bill.
Yeah.
How do they pay that?
Yeah, they don't.
They don't pay that.
It doesn't
right?
happen.
I mean, it's a major problem, and people need to understand the bigger issues. This isn't about running your committee meeting for 2.5 hours. So it's look at me.
Right.
Like I watch these meetings and I go, what did you accomplish in that meeting? What was accomplished in that meeting? Okay. Nothing was accomplished.
Not a thing.
You had 5 resolutions, and 4 of them were pretty mundane things. That's just we have to get back to doing the business of the people's work.
Right.
That is our main goal.
So as we look forward here, Rob now installed as the Republican chair.
Yeah.
Steve Vegliante is the Democrat chair. We welcome Steve Vegliante to come on Ian Sullivan.
I would love to have
debate
him.
that. That would be great.
I don't think there's a debate. I mean, I think let's find common ground.
Right.
Figure that out, and then we can debate the other issues.
That 4 or 5% of the time that you talk about that there's not common grounds, but at least we can agree on what the issues are.
Correct.
And folks, if someone has an idea based on something you've heard here on Ian Sullivan or something you might have heard in the community, drop us a line at iansullivan@gmail.com or leave us a comment at the end of this presentation, at the end of this episode. You want to get excited by what Rob's plans are, then you want to share this link, the whole link, please. You want to share the link, let other people hear it. The way the word gets out is we expand the footprint by getting more and more people to hear the different ideas. And if you disagree, leave us a comment. Tell us you disagree. If you have an idea for a guest that we should have here on Ian Sullivan, be sure to let us know. And if you're watching us on YouTube, and many people do right now, before you run back to the refrigerator or run to the television, please be sure to
smash
that like button so that we can get the numbers up. You want to subscribe. If you listen to us on Spotify, you want to hit that subscribe button so that you know when we drop an episode, you'll get an alert on your phone. And when we get to 1,000, then we really have an open discourse online, and we can live stream these episodes. So, on behalf of the chairman, Rob Daugherty.
I am the chairman.
You are the chairman. Yeah. On behalf of the chairman, Rob Daugherty, I am Mike McGuire. Thanking you for joining us for this episode of Ian Sullivan. We'll be back next week with another edition of Ian Sullivan. Have a great week, folks.
Thank you.